Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Valkyria Revolution. For the third flippin' time. This is starting to annoy me, but thankfully I don't think I'll have to do this again. This is the prequel cross spin-off to Valkyria Chronicles, the cult classic turn-based strategy game with a little bit of third-person shootery elements in there, but it was mostly turn-based strategy. Man, I would have loved to have a game in that series more than this one. People were a little bit annoyed, or at least, you know, people are usually annoyed with me that I didn't spend enough time in the Japanese version of this game, which is Valkyria Azure Revolution. How about that? Is that enough? Oh god, 6 hours of this! Considering that I had already played the intro to this game twice, just in Japanese, oh man, this grinded away at me something horrible, but thankfully, I am done with that, and we actually got to play something original.
How far did we get?
So, I will make my best attempt to go through this game as someone who is new to it, instead of someone who has already had to play through it twice. This is basically the entire game's story is told through in medias res. You are, well, not in medias res, like as a flashback more or less. You are talking to the professor lady over here, Rachel, and she tells you the entire story through her own memory. And you also have a history book here that you are writing at the same time of all the events that take place during the game. You do also have a glossary down here, which will tell you basically everything you need to know about the entire definition of everything in the game, the definitions of everything in the game, but it's pretty much unnecessary. You can figure out what you need to know from just playing the game. There is also a notebook down here, which has, like, more cutscenes and stuff in it. I imagine this is also where the DLC is going to show up. So if we were to come back here to the Archives of the Revolution, this is where the game actually keeps all its cutscenes. And it's probably a good idea for me to show off a cutscene here just to be safe. And I think this scene here, which is Princess Ophilia's speech, will do just nicely. So I'm going to shut up and let you listen. And by the way, there's only the English dub in this game, and if you hear the audio sounding horrible and crackly and stuff like that, that's not me, that's not the recording, that's the game. The game's audio quality is not desirable, to say the least. But let's just view the event anyway.
The two victories transformed the mood in Jutland.
At the time, the people hailed Opilia as the goddess of victory, or Jutland's savior. The morale of the people is important in war, and I hear her presence was a powerful unifying force to that end.
To see the truth behind the war, we must understand what Opilia felt, how she changed outside her role as princess.
But, Professor, she never wrote a memoir, or left records that discussed anything of the sort.
The only one who knew was my great-great-grandmother. Still, Opilia tried very hard to reciprocate her people's expectations at the start of the war.
My beloved people, from the bottom of my heart, I feel that Jutland is undergoing a momentous awakening even now. As you all know, I stand at the front lines of battle. Many have claimed I ought to put politics before principles. Even my king father wished for me to stay my hand. I, however, cast off such aspersions to swear by the sword. This blade will not be sheathed. My hand shall never stay until I have cut down the source of our kingdom's suffering. The fight has only just begun. Everyone, I ask only that you believe in me as I do you. Let me be the light to shine through our country's night.
Long live Jutland!
Long live the princess!
Long live Opilia!
Oh, beauteous azure light that shines so gently, pure and bright, across lands of plenty thrives the freedom of countless lives. Dear shield maiden, spear in hand, please grant us the strength to stand, watching over this fair kingdom. 'Tis our one and only home. Oh heaven, voices raised in thankful praise.
Times like this, you gotta think Fifi's blood really is blue.
The environment does shape who we are.
The royal family certainly has a unique way of seeing and thinking about the world.
But should she stay center stage, it's curtains for our crew.
How do you mean?
If anything were to happen to Princess Opilia, the entire country, from cowherd to king, would be out for our blood. The anti-Valkyria squad's fate now hinges on Her Highness.
That reminds me, I heard an interesting rumor. Seems people think the princess has a special power. That it's the reason we're able to win against Ruse.
I hear they've been calling our unit the Princess Platoon. Were you aware of that, Captain?
Whatever.
Ow!
Don't be saying petty crap like that. I agree.
At first, I could tell she was just speaking from the soul. But by the end, her head truly caught up with her heart.
Yes. Well, the princess is always keen on showing her empathy for the people of Jutland.
Why hold your applause now? 'Tis the war you've waited for.
And why did you applaud? You were against the war, were you not?
That ship has sailed. Now I must with utmost haste rebuild the bridges these battles have burnt. And so I clap for the princess's passion, even as I weep inwardly to see Her Highness bearing arms.
It seems His Majesty has accepted it.
Royalty does as royalty wills. Far be it from servants such as we to question the wishes of the crown. But mark my words, I shall employ every last ounce of my parliamentary prowess to put an end to this war.
Are we done? Are we done? Yep, we're done. That was a really long black screen. I was worried the game had crashed on me there for a second. But anyway, that was a look at some of the voice acting and the cutscene direction and all that. And it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's alright. It's workable. It's doable. I wouldn't be too annoyed by it if there was an option to have the Japanese dub in there somewhere, but it just doesn't exist. There just doesn't seem to be any option for it. Like, here are the options. No Japanese dub option whatsoever, which is a shame, because I think that would do better. And also notably, note that I can't put the difficulty any higher. We'll get to that. Individual volume sliders, text speed, camera stuff, nothing too out of the ordinary for the options there. I guess we'll just hop right into the main part of the game itself. I'm pretty sure I saved the game after a cutscene and all that, so we should be able to hop straight into the hub world and explain how all that works. It won't take that long, so we'll just go and have a little bit of a look around first before we do that. Okay, we're good. So, let's go have a look around, shall we? This is the promenade, but there's not really that much important here. You've got the tannery there, the metalworks there. There's a couple of other shops down the other sides of the street that also sell materials. And all of the materials can only really be put to work in one place, and that's the workshop. So if we come and have a look at the workshop, we can pick up something that I made previously, and we can also order a new type of armor. And these different kinds of armor can be made out of multiple materials. And it will cost you money to do that, of course, but the results, of course, will hopefully be worth it. So if I put these 3 materials here, they will do these particular things as the stats, and you can also use these materials in every kind of thing here, and it will do different things. So I will just confirm this gear to be commissioned. We can also buy gear outright, but as you can see, there's only like 1 percentage point improvement in here, and that's kind of annoying. You can also sell stuff.
Come back anytime.
And if we hit, if we hit the middle of the touchscreen, we can go to our gear menu and we can actually equip this stuff. So I've got a portable pouch here, so now my pouch is 20% bigger. And you can equip anything you want. As you can see, I've got a pretty good Royal Army uniform going on here because it makes my guys a fair bit more tanky. You can also come here to check your items, including your consumables, your materials, your Ragnite, which we'll get to, and of course your gear. You can change the tactics of your people as well. You can choose whether or not these guys will be going on attack, defense, or support at pretty much any time, and you can also change their priorities, which is what the AI does. And it seems, it focuses on taking the most effective action in a given situation. You don't really need to use these, because the AI is usually okay on their own, but they can be a bit dumb. They can just blunder into area of effect attacks, for example, which makes one of the bosses in this game really annoying. And you can also check your circles, and your circles are... basically, they're kind of like social links, only they don't really do anything. They're just like out of the way social events between a bunch of the in-game characters. And you can go and check them out every now and again, but they're more or less just social things. They're not really talking about anything related to the plot, and the plot in this game really isn't that good, and I'll explain why shortly. Traveling Merchant just sells more materials, and there is a Ragnite seller over on the left here, but we can go over what Ragnite is shortly. And there's nothing else here on the promenade, so we might as well just walk to the exit and go to Basil's factory. Basil's factory is where you will research your weapons and upgrade your people, but not really, because upgrading your people is more along the lines of leveling up than anything else. So let's go talk to this guy here.
What do you want?
You go to research and development, and you can choose to make secondary weapons, and the secondary weapons are all quite useful. They're all limited in ammunition every time you go out on the field, but they are fairly useful to, you know, actually go and kill people with. You can come here to upgrade your people's... These are kind of like skill trees, aren't they? And if you want to upgrade this, you need to use a specific amount of Ragnite. So as you can see, if I use a Ragnite stone here, it will upgrade it. If I use, say, another one here, it will upgrade it and unlock it. It will increase my abilities, and I can move on to the next thing. And of course, this all costs more XP as you go on and all that. And everybody has their own tree like this. So you'll be spending a fair amount of time going through this, and you don't get that much Ragnite to begin with. And considering that Ragnite, along with being your thing to upgrade your characters so that you can use more spells, as you can see on the left there, the higher your rank is, the more powerful spells you can use. The Ragnite themselves are actually the spells. So if you find a good spell, you have to choose whether or not you want to use it to actually upgrade your guys, or use it in those characters. And I don't think you'll be doing anything with that whatsoever until the middle or late game. You can also come here to change your battle palette, which is basically just your equipment loadout. So you can equip up to 4 spells at a time on this guy, and depending on your class and your rank, you can only equip certain types of spells. Like, for example, I can do Burn Field with this guy, which is something I should probably do because that's a really powerful spell. But as you can see, I can only equip, say, Spear Blaze if I was a shield class. There are 4 different classes in this game, and they're preset at the very beginning of the game. So if I just go back to the menu here again, I can see that Amleth is Shock. There's also the Shield Bearer, which is obviously a tank. The Sapper, which is your healer. And I think there's another class, isn't there? But we'll figure it out later. Oh, man. And of course, since all your gear is equipped across all your people all at the same time, it means that you don't really have to worry about specializing their loadout or anything like that, which kind of sucks because it kind of takes away from the tactical depth you'd expect from a game like this, but oh well. There is also a thing that only Opilia, which is the princess, can do, which is song magic, which really reminds me of bloody Macross and what was the other one? Omega Quintet, and those, just every game that Japanese makers put out seems to have song magic these days. It's kind of annoying, actually, but yeah, this game is kind of heavy on the anime plot, I gotta say. So here we are in HQ. We can talk to this guy and he'll let us buy some consumable items, and we can use, we can give them just like shields against emotions. We can have your typical health potions, and of course if you get a sapper to use them, they'll be more effective. So let's come over and actually look at the missions we've got. So we can exchange our shards for different kinds of Ragnite, but I don't really want to do that right now because shards are very hard to earn in this game. Well, not really, but they are just kind of annoying to get around. And you also have the ability to report these little side missions here. They all get tracked. You don't have to come here and individually select them to track them. And every one of these you finish, you can redeem them and you'll get the supplies for them, and you can just do them over and over and over again. And you do them via doing them in the side routes. Encounter at Avaloon, defend Temir Road, eliminate Light Tank Squadron, all that stuff. These are all free missions here. The big red dot is the story mission. We're going to do a side mission or 2 before we do anything else, because it's just more effective on the bloody gameplay time to do that. Pay as close attention to this map as you possibly can here, because they don't let you see this map in-game, so if you get lost, which is kind of hard to do,
That is all.
you will end up getting screwed, because you won't know what direction to go in. It's not too hard to figure out, but at the same time, it's more annoying than you might think. So we can actually come here and see the stats for all our people here. Scout, that's the other one. Scouts are better at long-range attacks, and Opilia is our scout. But you do actually have a fair few people here you can pick from, but it's usually recommended that you pick a couple of attackers, a shield, and a sapper. There is no reason to diverge from this. So our setup is actually doing alright right now, more or less. It is a good idea to change your battle palettes so that everyone has as diverse a Ragnite selection as you can get, but I've already done that with pretty much everybody here, so we should be good to go. So I might as well just deploy. The side missions just take place on the maps you've already been through, and they just give you a couple of things to do to grind up your troops. I haven't actually found them to be that necessary. There's been like one place where grinding might have been necessary, but it wasn't because I had a bunch of consumable items. And this just doesn't really help, honestly. It is kind of annoying, actually, because the game seems to be rather... What's the word I'm looking for? The game seems to be rather... Not grind heavy, like grind resistant. Whoops. I just willingly attacked a bloody... I just willingly attacked a goddamn barrel. No wonder I got absolutely knocked over. But anyway, let's continue on. This is Valkyria Revolution. You walk up to people and you press X and you do a canned 3-hit animation to do an attack with. And they call this an action RPG. Yes, every time I press the X button, I end up doing a 3-hit attack. And it's a canned thing. I can't stop it. I can also hit triangle to use either a spell or a secondary weapon. I'm going to use the secondary weapon right now because I actually like this gun. It is a 3 rocket launcher. I just took out 3 guys in one shot. And more guys come in to help because of course they do. However, there is a combination of things going on right now which makes this really easy. For example, this is a level 6 side mission. All my guys are currently level 14. I take no damage from anyone in a fight like this. Not to mention, there's that thing up the top there. That's the, well, it's kind of like the morale bar in Dynasty Warriors. The higher it goes, the more likely you are to inflict negative status effects and the more damage you do. The lower it is, the more likely the same thing is to happen to you. And basically, you just need to work around this bar in order to beat the crap out of everyone. However, beating the crap out of everyone is actually really easy. As I said before, the game's just overall difficulty is surprisingly low. The game is just really dull. Like, that's the only thing I've got to say about it. The enemies are really easy to fight. You do have the ability to block, and blocking is basically immune to everything, except if you get hit by, like, a element that you're weak to. Then there's the ability to dodge out of the way of everything, and that works exactly the way you expect it to. And there's just no challenge. You wipe through everything. Even when I was having slight trouble, it was with a boss that did absolutely nothing but throw out. I'm just gonna hurt my own teammate here, but I don't really care.
Who's next?
Oh no, it didn't even blow up the... Oh no, it did blow up the barrels. Never mind. You do have a lock-on, by the way, but it's really unnecessary. You don't need to use it. It's easy enough to direct your attacks and all that. I just got knocked over by a barrel again, but it's not like it matters. And the gameplay itself is just really dull. You just walk to a place, wipe through everything with whatever you have, and then move on. The only thing that's even remotely interesting are the bosses, and even then, they aren't that interesting to begin with. They are all really dull fights. They all have massive health bars, even if you're out-leveled for the level, and you just end up bashing on them over and over again. And some of them, for some inexplicable reason, have the ability to do 100% blocks every single time over the course of like 30 seconds. So there's a bunch of times where you just can't hit the enemy, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I don't know why they insist on doing that. It just makes the battles really annoying because you just have to spend a bunch of time just wailing on them because it's the most annoying goddamn thing in the world. Combine this with the grunts basically just being things you're meant to push over all the time. Also, I don't know how I'm detected. There's no enemies nearby. That's annoying as shit. That's an item box, by the way, if you couldn't tell. The game kind of acts like it's trying to be this strategy RPG hybrid, but it's got no RPG, this action RPG hybrid, I should say. Action strategy RPG hybrid. Try saying that like 10 times fast. But the problem with it is that there's no real strategy involved outside of just beat the crap out of everything, and there's no action involved just because the game itself is really dull about it. Just beat the crap out of everything until you win. If you can't beat the crap out of everything, go back to a previous level or go to the free missions, play them for a bit until you are the right level, then come back and beat the shit out of everything. The only thing that even really stands out in the form of strategy is hitting enemies with elements that they're weak to. But then again, you do enough damage with just the regular shit anyway, so there's really no point to it. There are other strategies that you can take, like during the boss fights and stuff. Like, I've hit the L button, you can see that it swaps between solo, partner, and squad. And that determines how your guys bunch up. And you can also set everyone to offense, defense, support, or free modes.
Whoopsies!
And the enemy, the friendly AI is usually okay.
Whoa, guys.
It's definitely not horrible, but it's okay. But if there's anything that has even, like, a remote area of effect attack, it is gonna suck for you. It is gonna massively suck, because area of effect attacks are more than likely to just absolutely destroy you. You will get absolutely annihilated. And that is really frustrating, because your AI will just walk straight into it. They'll just go, doop, oop, I'm dead. And that'll happen way too often. You can set them to go on defense, which will keep them alive longer, but when most of the AoE attacks come from bosses that need to be attacked constantly in order to take advantage of their bloody weaknesses, yeah, it kind of sucks. It really does. It just gets on my nerves. Something amazing.
Well done.
But anyway, we can come here, turn in this crap. And we're gonna go do another free mission, and then we're gonna go do the story mission. Oh no, we can't even do the other free mission, because the missions change in between. And as you can see, these are all level 6 missions, which are just way too easy. So, let's go do the highway base ambush. Because why not? The game's story structure, in the terms of like what the episodes are and all that, are all very simple. It's literally just, you'll have 1 or 2 missions per chapter. You'll do them, you'll get cutscenes, and then that's pretty much it. You'll move on to the next chapter. That's how it's been for the prologue, chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I'm guessing it's how it's going to be in chapter 3. So, nothing really interesting happens. You don't get any sort of special missions or anything like that that make things interesting. You don't have any side missions that add more depth to the characters. It's just this. And I might as well start talking about the plot since I'm here. The plot is crap. I was expecting a plot that was something more along the lines of, political intrigue and people trying to stab each other in the back and all of those sorts of things you expect from a good political thriller. You get none of this. It's more anime slice of life than anything else. And I'm gonna do you all a favor and swap to another character for this, because you guys are gonna get really damn bored if you watch me just playing the same character too much. Whoop. Come on, let me... Okay, now can I hit him? I'll just hit him with the gun instead. There we go.
Need more training.
But yeah, the plot is more anime slice of life than it is political intrigue and mystery and all that jazz. You end up... Alright, well, let me explain the basic plot, because I know what the basic plot is, and I don't like it. Well, actually, to be fair, it's not that I don't like it, it's just I don't like it because it's so boring. That's the only reason I don't like it. Basic idea is, you are being told the story of the 5 traders. The 5 traders are indeed traitors, because they are the ones who wanted to start this war between this country and this empire. The empire being the big bad, and the small guys being the big goods, because, of course, there is no other way to make this plot work otherwise. The small nation that we are playing has been under economic embargo for so long, aka the Star Wars Episode 1 plot, that they are starting to basically just become really run down, except you never actually see this in the context of the plot. All you ever see is a couple of villagers cheering on the fact that the war exists, and you are one of the 5 traders. Well, actually, technically you do end up playing... Well, no. This guy here is one of the 5 traders. The 5 traders start up the war in order to get revenge on the main guy who runs the big bad empire, because he is big and bad himself. And you just end up, yeah, you just end up causing the war, and you just have to let it run its course, more or less. That's the whole plot. There is next to no mystery left, more or less. I mean, there are people walking around with magic-infused weapons and all that, but even then, it's just... I just find this to be so horrendously dull, because They don't know how to do war right, and half the time when they could actually put some political intrigue or make the plot actually interesting, they just make the big bads look like the big bads, they make the big goods look like the big goods, and they just add slice of life everywhere where political intrigue would actually work out. And they use all sorts of weird phrases that only people living in the West in the year 1990 would use, and it's just so weird. It's just so weird. You had an opportunity to do something really cool and unique, and you just defaulted back to the standard set of tropes that anime is known for, and it just doesn't work. In this context, it just doesn't work. We got the base. That's like base 1 of 2, isn't it? So, a plot that's built around the idea of politics playing a huge part, and the whole idea of like this war going on doesn't really show off the war, doesn't really show off the suffering of the people, which is something that war would normally cause. It does tell don't show a lot, which is really annoying, you know? And it just happens to be a bore by making it be about the slice of life of the characters half the time without actually making the characters interesting. You've noticed that there's a lot of well, you might have noticed there's a lot of stereotypes going on, like the stereotypical posh British guy is one of the characters in the game. The stereotypical guy who is just a bloody silent mess of a character. You got your trickster, you got your girl who uses her wiles to earn information. You've got a couple of ladies who are relatively just silly about the whole thing. It doesn't feel right. For a game that's supposed to be about a massive continent-changing war, it just doesn't feel right. The story just doesn't... it just doesn't work. Combine this with the game's gameplay being an absolute bore, and it just doesn't work. Oh dear. I should probably watch out for these guys actually, but what the hell am I doing? I should just use my grenade. There we go. Here's as much of that as possible. And let's do that again, because there's no reason not to just spam sub-weapons and spells when you're fighting all this really strong shit. No, I should probably take out all the mini guys here, actually. Just... fire shot. So yeah, combine that with the gameplay just being really dull and just boring action RPG stuff that doesn't really work in the grand scheme of things. There's next to no customization of your party. There's no real... oh god, he's down. Those guys are actually ridiculously powerful. Even my level 14 guy just apparently falling over on them, which kind of sucks, but we can deal with that. Still have 6 enemies? Oh, there they are. I'll swap to Godot. Godot should have something handy for this. Got a grenade. Okay, he's down. I should spend some time trying to beat the crap out of him. Do I have anything that would work? Screw it, I'll freeze him. Right, they're weak to frost. But it doesn't really help do that much damage anyway, and this spell costs an absolute ton to use, so... oh, he's feared too, which means he's going to take even more damage. That's good. Yes, the enemy tank has recovered. It really is just the same thing with these bloody tanks, though. You literally just crowd around them and just beat the crap out of them. And these tanks, I mean, this tank is actually a new kind of tank, but it's exactly the same as the other tanks. You just crowd around them, beat the shit out of them until they fall over, and then just continue beating the shit out of them. That's basically all I've been doing for the past couple of hours. Can I talk more about the plot? Let me talk more about the plot. The problem with the plot is that it kind of has the Metal Gear Solid syndrome, where it does a ton of talking and doesn't actually let you play that much, despite the fact that the gameplay is crap anyway. And that's kind of annoying, because you'd think with the amount of cutscenes I've seen over the past 6 hours, that there would be more about the actual bloody war going on, but no. It really does kind of annoy me. I like hearing a good war story. Like, I know that sounds a bit weird, but I do not mind war stories in the slightest. War is interesting. War is where heroes are made. War is where things are usually more complicated than they seem. Like, have you ever heard of the beginning of World War II, where literally everybody had a reason to fight everybody for their own different reasons? That makes things interesting. In this game, the entire motivation behind the war is literally, big bad empire wants to take down small country, all the countries in said empire just want to be left alone. That's literally it. There's no nuance, there's no substance. It's just dull. It's really, really dull. And I wish it wasn't. I legitimately wish I was able to enjoy this, but I cannot, for the life of me, find anything even remotely good about this plot. Here's another cutscene. I can't promise any spoilers from here on out, so if you wanted to like mute the audio or whatever, there you go. But frankly, there hasn't even really been that much in the way of spoilers to begin with. So, you know, take that how you will. I don't think I'll bother playing anymore. I've been over everything. I've been over how you can swap characters, how there's basically no strategy, despite the fact that there's a bunch of strategy the game gives you, and the fact that the game is overly easy. The actual action RPG side of things is really boring, it doesn't really feel any good, it's no fun to play, and it doesn't really seem to have any way to customize your party outside of just upgrading a few resemblant stats to what that character does, and you don't even get that much in the way of loot to make things interesting either. It's just Ragnite. So you just use Ragnite as a thing, just as a spell, or you just throw all the Ragnite that you have no use for into characters. But then again, you don't even earn Ragnite at that quicker pace, and you don't get that much money, so you can't go buying it. Why does this game exist? Really? I mean, alright. Confession, I've never played Valkyria Chronicles, so I don't know that much about the game. So, with that said, I know how much of a cult classic the series is.
We've been waiting for you.
So, why they went for this instead of making a Valkyria Chronicles 4, especially since in the West, there's been a bit of a resurgence of Valkyria Chronicles love thanks to the Steam and the PS4 HD re-release. Why they decided to go for this is anyone's guess. Also, why this turned up on the Vita is anyone's guess, because originally this game was only announced for PS4, but then they announced a Vita port like 6 weeks out from launch or something like that.
This is good work, Basil.
And at least I can say the port is alright. It runs okay. It looks okay. I mean, there are a couple of things that made me point and laugh, but at the same time, it does look alright, and it does run pretty well at the same time. The main problem with it is loading times. Constant loading times. I mean, once you're in a game, the loading times are fine, but you'll notice in between every single screen imaginable, there's like 5 or 6 seconds of loading time for every single screen. And it is the most frustrating thing in the world just because of how many bloody loading screens there are. You're just sitting there watching a cutscene and you have to watch like 5 loading screens every 30 or 40 seconds. And it just gets insane after a while. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not the worst thing in the world, but is definitely something that's worth pointing out. Because, yes. I really don't have that much else to say. There really is nothing else to say. I mean, once you're here, you can stay. We can go back to Richelle, who's the professor lady who's telling you the story, but you've got no reason to do that. You really don't have any reason to go back to that at all. It's just... I don't care. I really don't. I don't think this game is worth your time. I have played this for 6 hours, and I find nothing worth even remotely playing this game for in it. It is a very, very dull game. It is an uninteresting game. It is an anime game in the worst sense of the word. It is all of that. It really is all of that. I mean, I don't have anything against anime tropes, but here they use them in all the wrong places, and it's just dull because of it. And that's basically all I got. I got nothing else to say about Valkyria Revolution. I wish it was way more interesting than it actually is, but it's not, and I'm gonna have to deal with that. Unfortunately, you guys can deal with that by not buying it, which is what I recommend you do. Or don't do, depending on how you want to view that sentence. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.